Hi, I'm Andy with Miller Engineers, and
I'm Emily Mikolajczyk, also with Miller Engineers and Scientists.
And so we're here to talk about our feed pad design, or CLEAR system. CLEAR stands for collecting leachate and runoff. At its base level, it's really a system of clean water diversion, with the goal being to divert as much clean water off of the feed pad without allowing it to cross-contaminate with either leachate from the feed or feed particulates. The reasons we do that is, well, number one, of course, to protect the environment, right? And also to give you some tools to help reduce the cost of managing your feed pad without having to collect so much contaminated water. And the way we do that is through the design of the pad itself, with some infrastructure that we'll talk about with the collection gutters and the management areas. But we'll start with the components of the feed pad. So the plastic is an important part of the management. So we treat that as more or less the roof over the feed. Any rainfall that falls directly on the pile of plastic doesn't come in contact with the feed, and we're able to shed it off as clean. So the key is to not allow that water that comes off the plastic to come back into our active use areas or come in contact with leachate. So the plastic covering itself is an important part of the system. So you can see here in the concrete is a channel, a collection channel. So underneath this slot opening, it opens up into an oval type shaped gutter that runs along the entire lateral edge of the feed pile. And this is a product called U-Drain. It comes out of Canada, and we've been using this product because number one, it's easy to install and construct, and also we have these rubber closures that you can see up here that gives us a lot of flexibility of where to open the channel and where to close the channel, which allows us to either be in collection mode or bypass mode. So we're collecting dirty water here, or clean water we're allowed to shed over the top of the rubber closure and off as clean. Right in front of the feed face where we're working, we call that the active use area. That's where you're always in, grabbing feed, working, there's feed particulate on it. But in this active use area, you can see that we have this gutter open. So any rainfall that falls right in front here that combines with leachate and feed particulate is considered contaminated and can get collected into the gutter. And the gutter, all the way along underneath the plastic, is also open. So all of your leachate that is seeping through the feed and running out towards this edge also gets collected in the gutter. And you can see, if you look beyond the plastic on the sides, you can see that there's no seepage of leachate coming out. And the plastic in that storage mode, the gutter is open underneath. The plastic is able to go over the top of the gutter, which is essentially allows the clean rainfall to hit the plastic, come off the sides, and discharges as clean without becoming cross-contaminated.
With the clean water discharging to the adjacent fields and ditches, the contaminated runoff and leachate is contained within this gutter that gravity flows to a small leachate pond. This leachate pond is appropriately sized for leachate and peak flows from the active use areas. It also features a pumping manhole that is connected to the long-term waste storage facility. This system can reduce the amount of contaminated runoff collected by up to 90%. There are a couple obvious benefits that are associated with that. The first is a significantly smaller leachate collection pond to handle runoff and peak flows. The second is the cost savings associated with collecting, storing, and hauling the runoff collected.
Maybe you can see on this picture, but this shows what we call the Movable Dam. And basically it's just recycled manure dragline hose, right? Filled with beet juice, right? Or something that doesn't freeze. And that came from, we work with Triple F Gary up in Reedsville, and they came up with that idea for the movable dams, and it works great. I mean, the hose is cheap. It makes great contact with the concrete to help do what it needs to do to divert or keep the water separated, or the area separated. And I guess just to be clear with the management of it, you have your feed face, and then right in front is that active use area. So that movable dam, what that actually will do is, as your feed face progresses down the pad, so will that movable dam. So you're always maintaining this certain area, and everything upstream of that you can sweep off and keep as clean. So even if you think about expanding your feed pad or making bigger piles or needing more room, you're still you can do those things, but you still will only have to do the collection on the active use area.
Right. I guess just to sort of touch on that a little bit more, let's just say, for example, Libertyland wanted to expand this feed pad 200 feet down to the south. That actually won't change our transfer pond size or any of our waste storage collection, because how this is sized is just on that active use area. So there's a maximum active use area that this system is sized for, which then gets, like you mentioned earlier, put back into the farmer's hands for the management aspect of it. It definitely opens the door to easily be able to expand your feed pad without having to worry about expanding your waste storage as well to keep up with that additional storage needed.
So you have a lot of flexibility and a lot of control over it to really optimize the system for your own needs.
There's a couple of benefits with this. It really puts management back into the farm's hands. This system that we're on today has, I believe, 4 or 5 active use areas. So that's really that area in front of the feed face. If there would ever be a time where you needed to collect a little bit more, or that like 20 feet just isn't enough area for you, you could certainly open the gutters and then move your movable dams farther back. The other big benefit is the financial benefit of the system. We're obviously collecting a lot less, which we're putting a lot less into our manure pit, and we're not hauling. So we did a rough calculation of a 5-acre feed storage, which is about just a little less than twice the size of this feed pad. We took a couple assumptions of 2.5 feet of rain every year, and assuming about 2 cents per gallon to haul. So you can see the comparison here. We're at 4.2 million gallons collected if we did 100% collection versus 586 gallons collected, and on an annual basis that's about $72,000 in hauling costs saved every year. So right there you can see kind of one of the benefits of the systems, and obviously trying to keep clean water clean and keeping it out of our manure pit. The other big benefit is it actually increases our day storage. Our MOL actually will stay up higher because we don't need to keep that 25-year, 24 rain event space in our manure pit from this feed pad, and obviously we won't be collecting as much, so our days of storage will increase. So a little bit of like why we started to develop this. Obviously, if you're capable to meet NR 243, there is no discharge from the production area. Here in Manitowoc County, there's the livestock facility siting license, which states that there should be no significant discharge from a feed storage area. That obviously meets those requirements as well. The other big thing was several years ago when NR 635, I might be misquoting that, the vegetated treatment area standard was updated, which really made it extremely difficult to really get a VTA on a farm that was over 500 animal units. So we started looking at different ways to exactly what we've been kind of saying throughout the day, is keeping clean water clean so that we're not collecting. A couple of the other benefits of this system is this one actually works year-round. VTAs obviously aren't taking up nutrients in the middle of winter when there is not vegetation on them. So this one is obviously able to still capture any snow melt, things like that. And what Andy was talking about earlier is we're always maintaining that active use area, because that's really the only area that we're collecting any runoff from.